Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. New York may very well be the country's safest big city, as Mayor de Blasio likes to say, but there is a troubling spike in violent crime that has some city leaders worried. In response, the NYPD has deployed more officers to 4 precincts spread across the Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens, following a nearly 40% surge in murders this year, from 38 killings in January and February of last year to 52 so far this year. Rape is also up almost 20%, but the increase in these crimes come as other offenses such as burglaries and robberies plummeted to record lows.
We're talking about very low numbers. These are the lowest homicide numbers we've had since the 1950s. So they're going to be periodic fluctuations.
What the trend shows us is what's so striking. The overall crime number is down 11%. We have to see that in perspective, too. I think if we saw something where a number of different categories were all going in the same negative direction, we would be very, very deeply concerned.
And for a closer look at the numbers and the city's response, we're joined now by Newsday New York City crime reporter Anthony DeStefano. Tony, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
So, Tony, at that press conference that you attended, the mayor and the head of the NYPD were obviously emphasizing the decrease in crimes. But you heard the numbers I gave. You know those numbers, the spike in violent crimes, the one that matter most to New Yorkers, let's face it. What are city officials saying is causing these spikes?
Well, they tend to think that, certainly in terms of the homicides, that the problem has been in the area of gang violence and domestic homicides. Those are the ones that probably account for half of what we've seen so far this year. It presents problems. One is a lot of the domestic homicides are behind closed doors. The cops aren't going to be on the street seeing situations that develop, so they can't intercede necessarily. So it's those two things. It's the gang violence and the domestic violence situations that are fueling the spike in homicides.
What about the spike in rapes?
Well, the rapes are increased. They have been increasing over the last few years, but this is driven in part by the outlier offenses that happened in previous years, which victims now become more emboldened to report this year. So that's driving that increase. That's been true for the last 2 or 3 years.
I see. So I know you talk to cops on the streets. What are they saying? Is there a discrepancy between the reasons they give why these spikes are occurring that the top brass is saying?
It's not so much a discrepancy, it's a sense of frustration from some of the people on the street, the officers, that the neighborhood policing drive is sucking a lot of resources. There's neighborhood coordination officers, there's supposedly sector cops. So these are dedicated cops for this particular function, but these are cops that have traditionally been doing other kinds of work. So there's a feeling that we're being pulled in a lot of directions.
You mean there's a feeling that they've been pulled away from real crimes to diplomacy on the streets?
Yeah, exactly. But keeping in mind, of course, that crime is down. So what are we dealing with? We're dealing with some kind of...
And diplomacy on the streets pays off sometimes.
It does.
Now, the NYPD has put in effect, what is it, a 5-point program as a result in order to deal with this spike? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's correct. After the spike was evident in Brooklyn, mainly in Brooklyn, they initiated a 5-point program which basically involved putting more cops, about up to 8 cops in particular precincts, enforcing the ceasefire program, which is an anti-gang initiative, taking care of...
But what does that mean? I mean, they talk to gang members?
Well, yes. What happens, gang members who are on parole are pulled in and talked to, given sort of conversations about, you really should behave. Yeah. We have all these services for you. If you don't, we're going to ratchet this up.
You mentioned Brooklyn. That's where most of the spike is occurring, at least in homicides. I saw a figure. In fact, I think that the Brooklyn DA said it in the press conference that they convict. Correct me if I'm wrong. They convict 50% of cases of gun violence. Is that right?
That's true. In Brooklyn, DA Gonzalez said that they get, after trial, they get a 50% conviction rate. The overall conviction rate for criminal possession of a weapon cases, criminal possession 2, is about 55%. That's historically the way it's been.
It seems low to me.
It does seem low, but you keep in mind a lot of these cases get dismissed because you get a car stop. Cops go into a car. There's one gun in the car with 4 people. 4 of them are charged constructively with possession of the gun. Ultimately, one person's going to own up to the gun.
I see.
The other 3 cases are dismissed. So
I
that
see.
drives your
I see.
dismissal rate.
I see.
There's all sorts of things that are going on here.
You know, at the press conference, the mayor talked about how we need criminal justice reform in Albany in order to help combat crime in the city. What criminal justice reforms is he talking about that would help the reduction?
Well, he wasn't very specific, as I recall from the press conference. I know that they're trying to get no cash bail on a lot of situations for people with nonviolent offenses. He hasn't really, in my mind, fleshed that out very well.
And he thinks that would help reduce the crime rate, because some people say quite the opposite. In fact, they're saying that some officers are saying that because there are defendants who don't have to pay any bail now, they're back on the streets on the same day, and that's one of the problems.
Well, bear in mind, I mean, if you're a nonviolent offender, if you can't put $1 cash bail up for a low-level offense of some sort, like a petty larceny, I don't see where that's a great public safety issue. Of course, bail is not going to be done away with for people who are violent offenders.
Yeah.
So it depends on how this is structured.
You know, in fact, we've done many segments here about defendants languishing in Rikers Island, awaiting trial because they can't put up the bail because the bail is so heavy for them.
Well, I remember years ago seeing statistics where there were people who could not post $1 bail, and they had to languish in Rikers.
Yeah. So this 5-point program, should that reassure New Yorkers that the streets are safe, or is there more to do?
Well, I think it should tell New Yorkers that the PD is trying to do something quickly to react. But what they're doing is using older methods and sort of focusing them in on these particular troublesome precincts.
So you're an expert of this. You know better than anybody. Do you, in any sense, believe that the spike in violent crime in any way is the beginning of a trend?
My personal opinion right now is that, crime is on us like a saw blade. It's a continuing downward trend, but you're going to get like the tooth of spikes. And this is reality. I mean, we've seen this for decades.
All right. Well, Tony, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.